Hey guys, what's going on, and welcome back to a brand new video. And today we are going to be rebuilding Chelsea. Now obviously it's not a hard rebuild when it comes to money, because I have got a fair bit of money, but there is definitely a few players in the squad which do need to be moved on. So it's going to be interesting to get rid of some of them players and bring some younger players in and see how the team looks in sort of 5 seasons. But if you guys do enjoy these rebuilds, please do leave a like on this video. Be sure to comment below on who you want to see rebuilt next, and please do subscribe to the channel. And also, one thing I am also doing is I'm going to be doing a Q&A to celebrate 2,000 subscribers. So please also comment below any questions you want to be featured in that. But let's get into the first season with Chelsea. So, when you take on the job at Chelsea, you're actually predicted to finish 3rd, which I feel is quite fair, to be honest with you. I mean, I wouldn't say they're favourites to win the Premier League by any means of the imagination. Obviously, you'd probably you would favour Manchester City, then you'd favour Liverpool, and then obviously, you know, you've got the likes of, I don't know, actually, probably then, you know, it's all preference, isn't it, between them, Spurs. I wouldn't put United in the same bracket at the moment, but 3rd's quite fair, to be honest. As you can see here, a little bit about the history of the club, etc, etc. Obviously, we know that the status of their finances is going to be quite rich. They do always have quite a bit of money to spend, even after what has happened, obviously, in real life. So this is actually going to be the team that we actually do start with, and that is going to be, I'm going to be using my tactic as well to start with, unless I decide to, you know, ever want to play 2 up top, because obviously Havertz does play up top for them. So if I ever want to bring another striker in, I probably will change formation. But to start off, I'm going to be using my Tuchel tactic, or Tuchel, whatever you want to say, the one on my channel, the 3-4-3, because it just is a very, very good tactic. So we're going to have Mendy in goal, obviously their new signing Koulibaly, Thiago Silva, Azpilicueta, Cucurella, James, Kante, Jorginho, Mount, Sterling and Havertz as our striker. Now obviously we can make signings, which we are going to do with this £39 million, and we might even decide to offload some players. So let's get into the first transfer window and see how we do. Well, to be honest, there's not too much we could do, because we did have a little bit of money, but I didn't want to spend, you know, put the club in debt by doing loads of little installments, because at the end of the day, we've already made some quite good signings. Obviously, as you can see, we signed Koulibaly, and also we signed Raheem Sterling, not our signings, but, you know, signings that have been made in real life. So that's already 2 fantastic players coming in. And we actually did strengthen even further by bringing in Skriniar from Inter Milan. Obviously, we're all familiar with him, a very, very good centre-back, and it just adds a little bit of depth to that team. And also we brought in Pierre Kalou from Milan, purely for a backup right back, and he can also play centre back if needed. Obviously, when you play 3 at the back, you need to have a lot of depth in that position. We've got the likes of Sarr out on loan as well, so that's a centre back we're missing. So I thought, do you know what, we'll bring a little bit of a flex in, bring someone that can play right back and centre back as well. And this is how the team looks. So instantly that back 3 is actually, I mean, it's absolutely outstanding, really. You've got Mendy, Skriniar, Thiago Silva, Koulibaly, Chilwell, James, Kante, Jorginho, Mount, Sterling, Havertz as the starting 11. And the bench also looks very, very good. But let's get into the first season, and hopefully we can win something. It'd be really good to see. We did win something. Although there's a lot of red here, we did manage to win the league, only by a couple of points, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how many points, as long as we won it, and that was the ambition. I wasn't even expecting to win it in the first season, but luckily we did, with Kai Havertz being our top goal scorer. And to be honest, the red, I mean, we bottled a lot of stuff, to be honest. We lost the Super Cup, which is obviously going to be a final. We lost the Carabao Cup final against Man City, and we got knocked out in the Champions League groups, which is embarrassing, but we got all the way to Europa League final against Atalanta, which we lost as well. Not as good in the FA Cup, but we were in 3 finals and didn't win 1, so if we turned up in the finals, that could have been a quadruple winning season. That's just how it is. But overall, I'm not too gutted, because it's the first season. We were finding the ropes of the team, obviously, you know, using the tactic as well. So I mean, it's all about getting used to it, and it's a rebuild at the end of the day. You're not expecting to go in and win everything in your first season. But in terms of stats, we had some real good performers. Obviously, we're not going to talk about Lukaku because he was out on loan. I will be selling Lukaku, by the way, because obviously he isn't going to stay at Chelsea. But I know he's on loan at Inter Milan, but he's never going to come back to Chelsea in real life and actually play. So I will be selling him. And also, if I can, because obviously Marcos Alonso looks like he's going to leave, and possibly Azpilicueta. So they are some players that I will try and move on, purely to make it realistic. So in terms of goals, we've got 44 coming from Kai, obviously the striker in this side, 18 coming from Mason Mason Mount, 22 coming from Raheem Sterling, 15 from Pulisic, 12 from Jorginho, just some of the key stats there. In terms of assists, we've got 29 for a right back from Reece James, obviously one of the better attacking right backs in the league, apart from obviously the likes of Trent. 13 coming in for Mount, 13 coming in for Cucurella, so a decent season for him in terms of assists as well. 14 for Raheem Sterling and 7 for Pulisic. So pretty much everyone getting involved. The fullbacks having really, really good seasons as well, which is always good to see. And going into the next season, we've got 60 million, basically 61 million pounds to spend. And that's before we've actually sold anyone, because we probably will sell some people, because at the end of the day, you can't always keep everyone. Sometimes they don't want to sign contract extensions. Sometimes it's this, sometimes it's that. So it's not always easy to keep the players you want to keep. But let's get into the next transfer window and see what we can do. Now, this is going to be one of the most crazy transfer windows you'll probably ever see, to be honest, because there is so much business that we've done. Honestly, an outrageous amount of business. Now, we're going to go over some of the people we sold first. So we got rid of Alonso to Milan for 12.5 million. We got rid of Kennedy to Lyon for 2 million. Callum Hudson-Odoi wasn't really playing. I had no future for him. So we offloaded him to Arsenal. Not the favourite destination, but one of the few clubs that did want him, and they paid 43.5 million. And also Dylan Williams going to Everton for 3 million. We then go over and we sign Lucas Ramesso from Benfica for 36.5 million. Lorato Martinez from Inter Milan, who is going to be our star striker, for 100 million pounds. One of the strikers which obviously is always a question. Is he ever going to move to the Premier League? Is he ever going to fancy a different challenge than in Milan in real life? And honestly, I can't see him moving in real life. But on this game, we've convinced him. And I'm thrilled. Hopefully, he's going to be scoring a lot of goals in the Premier League. But we'll talk over the first couple of signings. So this guy is going to be another centre-back, and you'll see why we brought in another centre-back when we get onto the next page. But this guy, to be honest, is a player I've never actually even heard of. I'm going to be 100% honest, but he looks very, very good, to be honest, in terms of tackling. He's reasonably quick, but I looked at the aggression, the bravery, the determination, position, and he just looks like a very experienced centre-back and a perfect player for... Because obviously you got to take into account, we've got Thiago Silva, who's obviously aging. We could be selling Azpilicueta, and this guy matches a description of an experienced centre-back and someone that we needed. And then obviously we don't even need to talk about this guy, Lorato Martinez, one of the best strikers in the world when it comes to this game. I don't know if you say that in real life, but if you need a striker in Football Manager, you usually go for your Asim Hems, obviously your Mbappe's, your Haalands, but then your lower bracket, just slightly lower bracket, is your Lorato Martinez, absolutely world class, one of the best strikers you can get. Great finishing, reasonably quick as well, very good on the ball, and just a perfect option for this team. Going on to the second page, and this is where things got very crazy. So we'll go over these two because I know your eyes are instantly peeled to these. That is going to be Frankie de Jong from Barcelona for 150 million pounds. And then if that isn't enough of talent for you, Musiala from Bayern Munich for 100 million. 250 million spent. And also, obviously, we have these, which is going to be another 136 million. So it's a lot of money spent, but we did also sell a lot. So we've got to take that into account. So we obviously offloaded. We'll talk about the big players. So Azpilicueta, obviously, I sold him purely because he probably is going to go in real life. 10 million. Batshuayi, because we don't really need him now, to Rennes. Ross Barkley, some Real Sociedad. Thiago Silva, because he didn't want the extension on his contract, so we offloaded him. And also Lukaku to PSG for 84 million pounds. Because again, I don't want to keep Lukaku because he isn't going to stay in real life, and that's just a fact at the end of the day. But the two players we actually brought in then on top of the two that we signed, Frankie de Jong, do I really need to talk about this guy? He is going to be in the first team for the entire save. One of the best midfielders about, a player that I would love to go to Manchester United, but I think it's too late now. I think that bridge has been burnt. But to be honest, in terms of midfield players, you're not going to find much better than him on the market. And he cost a lot of money. He's on a lot of money to have at the club. But, you know, you got to take into account, obviously, he can play alongside a Kante for now, but Kante is getting older. And he's slowly going to decline and decline. So you do need to invest in this midfield. and this is going to be why I did it. And then obviously on this side, it is going to be for that left-hand side of the wing, and that is going to be for Musiala, one of the hottest prospects in German football as it stands. Obviously, even got the description of a wonder kid, if you do care about that. But again, his attributes are fantastic. He pretty much is good at a little bit of everything, which is what I want. He can also play reasonably comfortable in the midfield, and obviously more attack and midfield that would be, and also on the right. So you're getting a player here that's only 19, tons of potential, can play in like 4 positions, and very good at every single one. So pretty much the perfect signing. And this is what the team looks like. So this team now looks a lot better, in my opinion. You've got Mendy, Skriniar, Koulibaly, Lucas, Cucurella, James, Kante, De Jong, Musiala, Sterling and Martinez. That sounds like you've literally been asked to pick 11 of your best players into a team, and that is what we've done. And obviously on the bench, we've got Brozier as a backup. We've got Chilwell, Mount, Havertz, Shabala, Jorginho, Pulisic. Even on the reserves, we've got the likes of Gallagher, Sarsback, Ziyech, Kovacic. So some of them players possibly we might offload in the future, but what I'm trying to show you is how good this squad now actually is. So let's get into the second season and hopefully win some more trophies. And that is what we've done. Unfortunately, we managed... It's unfortunate because it would have been a treble, but unfortunately we managed to lose out on the Premier League by a point to Liverpool, who obviously had a very, very good season. We did win the Champions League, though, against Liverpool, and also the Carabao Cup against Liverpool. So still winning 2 major trophies, nearly winning the treble. And to be honest, I'll take that because the Champions League is the biggest trophy in world football, and the Carabao Cup might not be the biggest trophy, but it's always nice to win them little trophies on the side. And do you know what? What a season from Lautaro Martinez there, scoring 59 goals. And if we go into the stats then, which we will, we're going to have 59 coming in for Martinez, 44 from Raheem Sterling, 23 for Musiala, great season from him in his first year. Kai Havertz with 23, obviously towards probably next season, if not the season after, we might change the tactic just because I want to play 2 up top. I do not want Havertz sitting on the bench at all. And 12 goals coming in for Mason Mount. In terms of assists, we've got 31 for Reece James again, hitting high numbers. 9 for Martinez, 17 coming from Sterling, 15 for Chilwell, 22 for Musiala, 10 coming in for Kai Havertz. So a lot of different contributions coming in from the players, which is always good to see. And to be honest, that totals off one of, you know, I mean, it's pretty much, if we won the Premier League, that would have been pretty much a flawless season. But still, the Champions League and the Carabao Cup, I will take. In 2 seasons, we've won the Prem, we've won the Champions League and an English Cup. So I'd say so far, so good. But going into what is going to be the 3rd season, we have been given a budget of £78 million. Now, for anyone that does play Football Manager, you know that you can actually sign way beyond this. If you do add-ons, you do installments. So this figure here is actually a lot of money, with quite a hefty wage budget as well. So let's get into the 3rd season of transfers and see who we can bring in and who we decide to offload. Before we do get into that though, guys, if you are enjoying this video so far, please do leave a like on the video, and also please subscribe to the channel. It helps the channel grow, helps the videos get found. It's completely free to do so, and it does mean a lot. But let's get into the 3rd transfer window. Before we do that though, guys, I just wanted to show you this because there's a couple of players here which I know I'm going to get slated for selling, but it's not out of choice. It's purely because they literally want to leave because other clubs are interested. And that is going to be Mason Mount, doesn't want to sign a contract, and also N'Golo Kante. And the reason why I'm going to sell these now is because otherwise they're going to go on the free, and it's going to be awful business. It's going to cost us a lot of money in terms of what we paid for these players. Not Mount, obviously Kante wasn't expensive either, but it makes sense to sell them when you can. So just to clarify, Mount and Kante didn't want to be here, so we're going to sell them. So if you wonder why I decided to sell Kante, obviously I wouldn't out of choice, but I'm not going to let him go on the free. So this is going to be the 3rd transfer window then. So a lot of action going on here. We're going to see here some of the players that we brought in. Obviously, we've seen all these players who I sold, so there is going to be a couple of pages. We did decide to strengthen up that back line again by bringing in De Ligt from FC Bayern for 125 million. I am spending serious money on this rebuild because I'm trying to create one of the best sides in football has ever seen. But also, it's easier to do because we are selling players as we go along. So although you see me spend a lot, we're also selling a lot of money. And obviously, we got like 80 million to spend at the start anyway. So this is why it's possible. So I thought, you know what? We won't stop there. Kante's gone. We're going to also replace him by bringing in Jude Bellingham, the best midfielder when it comes to talent, in my opinion, in terms of what he can reach. He's so young, already at the top of his game. Absolutely phenomenal player. Obviously pretty much set to go to Liverpool in real life, in my personal opinion. But on this save, he is a Chelsea player. And we don't need to talk about this guy too much. Obviously worth pretty much double, not just under double of what we paid for him. One of the best centre-backs in this game, full potential, instantly going to get into the side, no questions asked. Everything about him is fantastic. He's quick, everything. He's tall, good tackling, good marking, good passing, good positioning, good work rate. Pretty much the perfect centre-back. And obviously he had a season or two at Bayern, so he did cost quite a bit to get that early on. But I wanted him at the club because obviously we're going to have the likes of like obviously Chelsea do have good centre-backs, but as you've seen, we've already have to offload a couple of them due to their age. So bringing in slightly younger centre-backs for a lot of money might seem like, wow, that's a lot of money. But he's 23 years old. He's going to be at the club for a minimum of like 7 years before you even consider him having some type of decline. And then also we partner that by bringing in another 20-year-old, just turned 20 as well. And that is going to be Jude Bellingham, instantly going to get into the first team. If he does get pushed out, he's got years and years and years of football to cement that first team spot. Again, a wonder kid on the description, but we all know who he is anyway. Absolutely fantastic when it comes to his attributes. And to be honest, one of the best players, one of the players I always go to sign on the market. And these are just some of the players which we did end up selling, just because I like to show you this because it's a lot easier to then explain how we are able to bring in so many players. So obviously some of the players that went for big money, we'll ignore the freebies. Everyone that goes on the free, by the way, I do try and offer him contracts. So like Ampadu, I did actually want to keep, but he didn't want to stay. And unfortunately, he agreed a pre-contract. But we did sell N'Golo Kante for PSG for 49 million, which is not a bad figure considering he's obviously a lot older in this save. And Mason Mount to FC Bayern for 88 million. So, you know, I took a player from Bayern, they took a player from me. So that is how we are able to sign all these world-class players in the same window. And this is what the team looks like. I finally decided to switch it up because I do not want Havertz sort of just lurking on the bench, playing here and there. So I am going to be using, it's a bit of a mouthful this, the SC442 Dragon Force V5.07 at FM21.22. It is one of my favourite two up top formations. It's slightly tweaked because obviously some of these players prefer to play in different positions. So I've let them pick their positions where they're most comfortable. And the team looks honestly ridiculous. We've got Mendy, Reece James, Skriniar, De Ligt, Chilwell, De Jong, Bellingham, Sterling, Musiala, Martinez and Havertz with an absolute outrageous bench in reserves. Pretty much everything about this team now is where I want it to be. And this team doesn't really have an excuse not for winning the Premier League. So let's get into the third season and see what we can win. That's what we've done. We instantly managed to bounce back and win 4 trophies. We managed to win the Champions League back-to-back against PSG, won the Super Cup against Inter Milan or AC Milan, I'm not sure which one that is. Won the Premier League, which is always good to see, by 10 points as well, so quite convincing, and also win the Carabao Cup against Liverpool. The only disappointment in this season is going to be the FA Cup. And by the way, what is happening here with Lautaro Martinez? I've seen Ronaldo score a lot more than that in my Manchester United save, but 75 goals from Martinez. Obviously, one hell of a season from him, an absolutely outrageous amount of goals, and he is by far going to be the clear stat man here. 75 goals and 16 assists. We then got Reece James with 28 assists and 2 goals. Kai Havertz contributing with 13 assists and 37 goals. 13 goals for De Ligt in his first season, probably from set pieces, I imagine. 13 assists coming from Ben Chilwell, 18 from Pulisic with 6 goals as well. Brozier actually scoring 16 goals as well. So playing 2 up top also gives him a bit more of a chance because obviously there's 2 strikers being used, meaning that they are going to need resting. So Brozier is going to get a little bit more action. Also 7 goals coming in from Skriniar, probably from set pieces. Raheem Sterling, 22 assists and 13 goals. 8 assists and 14 goals for Frankie de Jong. And 11 assists and 10 goals for Musiala. So, to be honest, pretty much everyone having quite a good season. Bellingham not having the best in terms of match rating, dropping a 6.99, but it is his first season in the Prem. He's got to adapt, so I'm not going to be so annoyed with him at that. But if you look at just some of the players we've got in this team, I'll give you a couple of seconds just to read down this list. The quality we have in this team now is honestly outrageous. We have some of the best players in world football, and this team should be winning what we've just seen. Quadruples, trebles, doubles, should really be winning trebles because the talent this team has is honestly incredible. And going into the next season, which is going to be the 4th season, we have been given £115 million to spend. Now, this is an outrageous figure because, again, it does mean that we can bolster even more. I'm going to take a lot of time to think about who to bring in because I don't want to bring in players purely for the sake of it. Obviously, at this point, I'm just trying to future-proof the side because our starting 11 is pretty much decided anyway. It's going to be quite hard to bring in any player that instantly gets into the first team now. So this is purely about finding players for the bench and for the future. So let's get into the next transfer window and see how we do. And that is what we've done. Now, there is going to be a little bit of explaining to do here because you wondered why I've spent £81 million on a goalkeeper. And that is because Mendy actually had the same situation of not wanting a contract. And I wasn't fully comfortable with Kepa being number 1. So I looked on the market. There wasn't a lot available to me. I wanted a young goalkeeper that was already world class. And this is where this guy comes in. Alvaro Fernandez from Real Sociedad. I had to pop his release clause at 81 million, and we also signed Gavi from Barcelona for 35 million pounds. We also, as you can see at the bottom down here, offloaded Billy Gilmore to West Ham for 3 million pounds. We're going to talk a little bit about these players. Obviously, this goalkeeper is absolutely phenomenal. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you guys. I don't know a lot about him as a player in real life, but on this game, he looks incredible. He's 26. He's already described as a world-class goalkeeper. He's 6'1", not the tallest of goalkeepers, but tall enough. His attributes are absolutely fantastic, and I can see why he cost the amount of money he did. Goalkeepers are not easy to come. They're not easy to come by at a young age. Obviously, we could have went and signed an older goalkeeper, but I wanted someone that is going to be with the team for a few years. We then go and sign Gavi because, as you're going to see in the next page of transfers, we did lose some midfield players, unfortunately. And this guy here is one for the future at the end of the day. He probably won't get into the team right off the rip, but you can see his potential. Wonder kid again. We all know who Gavi is. An absolute phenomenon in that midfield and a player which has got pretty much uncapped potential as long as he gets the chance. Going into the second page then, we'll go over who we decided to talk about, who we decided to sign right off the rip. And we wanted to strengthen that striker spot going forward, just for the future and give us more of an option. So we actually turned to Borussia Dortmund and signed Makoko for £69 million, who we did actually decide to loan back, who we did actually end up recalling. Funny story, we actually managed to recall him pretty much 4 or 5 games into the following season. So he was actually with us all next season. But as you can see here, there were a few players who did decide to leave. This is the one that annoyed me because I tried to get money for him, but he already agreed a pre-contract with Monaco. Edouard Mendy went to PSG. They seem to be snaking a lot of our players this save for 29.5 million. Jorginho didn't want a contract extension, 18.5 million. And also Hakim Ziyech, my choice to sell him. He wasn't playing, not really my type of player. He went to Monaco for 27 million. But this is all the Makoko show at the end of the day. This guy, obviously, we all know him as well. Another wonder kid to bolster the team. This guy is definitely going to be the future. Obviously, Martinez isn't old, but he's definitely a lot older than Makoko. So what I'm hoping is as soon as Martinez gets into his 30s, this guy can get into his prime. And this is why it's so important to sign players ready for the future, because it saves you scrambling for players at the time. If you look at, Manchester United in real life, for example, when they had their Alex Ferguson period, and they were getting towards the end of it, players were getting on, the recruitment wasn't there. If we would have signed players that were ready to replace them, it probably would have been a lot better than what we're seeing now. So whenever I do a rebuild, I always do my best to future-proof the club, because that way they've already got a player ready to fill the boots of an old player who decides to leave or decides to retire as he gets older. With that being said, let's get into the 4th season and see how we do. We do very well. We managed to win the Premier League again, by not a lot of points, but a comfortable amount of points. We also managed to win the Super Cup against FC Porto and also the Carabao Cup against Liverpool. Not doing as well in the quarterfinal here, going out to Bayern, who, again, they're a team that have taken a couple of our players this season as well, and also lost in the Community Shield against Arsenal, which is a little bit disappointing. But to be honest, I'm just happy we keep on winning the Premier League and also these other trophies. I know the Carabao Cup and the Super Cup aren't exactly massive titles, but they are trophies at the end of the day. They're good things to be winning. And in terms of stats then, so this is what I'd love to see, by the way. Look at the ability on some of these players we've got now. But stats, we have got 2 goals coming in from Reece James, 30 coming in from Havertz, 14 for De Ligt again, Lorato Martinez with 44, 26 for Makoko. Obviously a player who, as you can see, does come off the bench more than start. just because he's still adapting, he's still young, he's still got to get to that first team quality. 18 goals coming in for Musiala, 15 for Sterling, 17 for De Jong. Broja contributing again with 10 assists. We've got Reece James, who has been absolutely banging in assists this season right from the start. 15 for Kai Havertz, 13 for Lautaro Martinez, 11 for Moukoko, 22 for Musiala, 12 for Sterling, 13 for Pulisic, and 10 for Broja. So again, the goals are being balanced out a lot. Obviously, we can see here it's going to be Lautaro Martinez, who still has got years in him before we even have that debate of whether we need to move him on. He's been pretty much the top goal scorer since we've had him, I believe, and to me, that is one of the best signings we've actually made this save. It's never really a gamble with him, though, because you know what you're going to get. You're going to get a striker that is going to score loads of goals, and that is what he's doing, as we can see. Going into the last season, and this transfer window is going to be a bit of a... It might be a bit of a stalemate unless more players want to leave, because obviously, again, this is purely going to be to just bolster that team and just add depth to every position possible, because that is what we want to do. We want to leave them in the best position going forward. And we have got 97 million to do that, which again is a lot of money. Again, the wage budget is still, it's not in the red this time, so we've recovered slightly from that as well. So let's get into the last transfer window and see who we can bring in. So this is what we've done in the last transfer window, and we went big again. Now, a player which I didn't want to lose, unfortunately we did lose, because I don't know if that was done mid-season. I don't know what happened. I didn't even get a say in this, but Reece James actually decided to leave. For money, he did get sold, so that's why I'm thinking what happened, because I didn't do it. So obviously it's something behind the scenes, background stuff, whatever it is. He decided to leave, and when that happened, I was like, okay, I need to replace him, obviously, with someone of decent caliber, and that is going to be Timber from Ajax for 85 million. Obviously, quite a go-to player. I'm pretty sure you've seen me sign Timber in several rebuilds before, but the reason I do it is because he's so good, and also to partner him alongside in the defence is going to be Dayot Upamecano from FC Bayern for 67 million. Us and Bayern this save have been literally going clash for clash every single time. We keep taking players from each other, and to be honest, that's who took Reece James. So I wanted to hit back and take one of their players. They weaken me, I weaken them. It's like an undisputed rivalry in transfers. So him and Timber to strengthen up the back line. Timber more of a replacement to Reece James, who has developed very well, as you can see here. Obviously a 4.5-star ability right back who can play centre back and can also play in midfield. So in my opinion, do not slate me. An upgrade from Reece James, because he is better than him at the current state in this game, and also he can play 3 positions. I think he possibly is a year younger, and also his attributes are just pretty much so well-rounded because he can play in like 3 positions, so he is going to have very well-rounded stats or attributes. And then the next player, we've all heard of him, this guy again, one of the best centre-backs in the game. Having him and De Ligt at the back should be a crime. Obviously, we've actually poached Bayern's, centre-back partnership now with Upamecano and De Ligt. This guy is honestly incredible. 27 years old, fantastic defending, reasonably tall. What you're getting with this guy as well, there's a lot of speed, good determination, good position, and again, a player who, although he's 27, you've still got sort of, 5 years out with him before you even consider seeing any type of decline or consider replacing him. And even then, that's still quite young for a centre-back. Obviously, you're seeing the likes of Koulibaly and Thiago Silva playing on until they're 35, 30, 36 now, possibly even older. So definitely a good sign in there. Then on the next page, which you're going to see, this guy here, I'm not going to talk too much because he is just a wonder kid who I've got purely for the future. He's going to be Luca Romero from Lazio, who can play on both sides of the wings for £14.5 million. We also then, as I did say, we lose Reece James for 72 million, which wasn't expected. I didn't plan on selling him, but I guess he wanted to move. He decided for the move, so I can't do too much about it. But let's go and have a little look how this team looks going into the last season. So, this is how the team looks like. We're going to have Fernandes in goal. We're going to have Timber, De Ligt, Upamecano, Chilwell, De Jong, Bellingham, Sterling, Musiala, Martinez, Havertz. An absolute world-class starting 11. The bench is incredible as well. You've got Kepa, Skriniar, Pulisic, Moukoko, Koulibaly, Kovacic, Broja, Chabalala, Cucurella, Conor Gallagher, Vermissio, Gavi, Anojrin, I think is how you say that, and Kalu. A fantastic side, and in my opinion, definitely an upgrade on what they've currently got. But let's get into the 5th season and see how we do in terms of results. And we finished on a high. We finished winning the quadruple, which, to be honest, after them signings, I thought definitely should have been on anyway. We managed to win the Premier League, win the FA Cup, win the Carabao Cup and the Community Shield. Not the best display in Champions League, which does surprise me because our team was so good, but we have won pretty much, I think we have won pretty much everything in this rebuild in different seasons. So for me, this has been definitely a successful rebuild. We've got rid of a few players that were expected to go and a few which possibly weren't expected. One in Reece James, definitely not expected. So I feel like we've dealt with the obstacles very well. We brought in better players, brought in players of the same caliber if we couldn't improve, and also just helped with the age of the squad as well. Brought in a lot of young players, and what a season that was. If we look at the stats as well, we're going to have 54 goals coming from Lorato Martinez. We're going to have 26 from Havertz, 20 from Sterling, 24 from Makoko. Really getting into that team now. 18 for De Jong and 18 for Musiala. In terms of assists, we've got 20 for Martinez, 4 for Upamecano, 5 for Timber, 11 for Kai Havertz, 25 for Sterling, 16 for Makoko, 18 for Pulisic, 7 for De Jong and 16 for Musiala. So switching to that 2 up the top, I think has definitely helped. We've definitely seemed to be a little bit more consistent. I think the key reason I done that was because even before we got the likes of Makoko, I done it because that means that Havertz does get a lot more games, and Havertz is too good of a player to just purely be, brought on when needed. He needs to be starting game in, game out. So that is why we switched to that 2 up top. And it definitely has worked. And if we were going to continue this season, we would have been given a budget of £85 million. So the club in a very good place when it comes to dishing out money. And I think the only thing we can do now is actually, let's have a look what we've accomplished over 5 years, and you can decide whether it's been worth it. So this is a complete breakdown of what we've done in 5 years. And in my opinion, I know we've spent big, but we've also sold big. So it's not all money coming out. There has been money coming in, obviously, from trophies, from sponsorships, from selling players, etc., etc. So although you're seeing these hefty price tags, we've sold a lot of players as well. You've got to remember that. A key one being Lukaku and Reece James. Big money going out. But in the first season, we were the runners-up in the Super Cup, FIFA World Cup winners, which is I don't think I even talked about that one. The 2022 season, we also managed to win the Premier League, runners-up in Europa League. That was that season where we bottled pretty much 3 finals, which is really disappointing. As you can see, there are another runners-up there. 2023, we were Carabao Cup winners, Champions League winners, Super Cup winners. The following season, we were Carabao Cup winners, Premier League winners, Champions League winners, runners-up in the Community Shield. Bit of captaincy there, going from Skriniar to De Ligt, not fully against that, and also won the Super Cup in the same year. Carabao Cup come in 2025, we won that. We won the Premier League, won the FIFA Club World Cup in the same season, won the Community Shield again, and in the same season, Lorato Martinez got appointed as the vice captain. Going into what is going to be the last season, and that is going to be Carabao Cup winners, Premier League winners, Premier League champions, just checking, and Emirates FA Cup, so winning the treble in the last season. So we've had 5 years at the club, and I think that has been very successful. Obviously, a variety of trophies being won, a couple of trebles in there as well, 1 quadruple. So I mean, to be honest, I think that's definitely a successful rebuild. The team we've got now, in my opinion, is probably fit to play for the next 5 to 7 seasons without even needing to sign anyone. So I mean, definitely put them in a better position when it comes to players, but do comment how you think this has gone. But yeah, for me, I think this has been a very successful rebuild. But if you have enjoyed this rebuild, guys, please do leave a like on the video, and please do subscribe to the channel. It's completely free. It helps the channel grow, it helps the videos get found. If you want to go that extra mile, you can also share the video, comment on the video. These things all help the video gets found. Videos get found, helps this video get found, and it really does mean a lot when you guys interact with the video. But please also comment below who you want to see rebuilt next. I know there's loads of suggestions from you guys coming out pretty much every single video, and they are all in the works, but I want to get a big list going, so there's loads of videos planned. But that is going to be it for today, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.